Alright, so today we're going to be looking at this Fender Twin Reverb. It is a 1964. We'll get into some more of that later. We're going to be doing some repairs on this, so I just want to document some of it before we get into that. So if we take a look at this faceplate here, you can see it says Fender Electric Instrument Co. So we know that it's before CBS took over, which was in '65. So that lines up with my theory that this amp is from 1964. We've got a green jewel light on there. And as you can see, someone put a master volume control on here. So that's something that you might see on some Twins a lot. They're pretty loud amps, so people want to tame them with a master. And it looks like they have replaced the speed knob for the tremolo. So the faceplate is in really nice shape. We'll take a look at some of this grill cloth here. Just like the faceplate, it's in pretty good shape. Down here we got some tears in the Tolex that'll probably glue up and stick back down. Up here we do have a replaced handle. There's a few nicks in the Tolex here and there. Overall, pretty decent shape for how old the amp is. Let's turn it around and take a look at the back. Before we turn around and take a back, I wanted to take a look at this side here. We got the original Fender tilt back legs, and we got the little button that will oftentimes be missing so that it'll stop the leg when you tilt it back. Alright, so we're looking at the back of this Twin now. I have the top back panel removed so you can see the tubes and everything. If we take a look here, we have some JBLs in here. Two JBL 12-inch speakers. And I'll tell you what, these things sound pretty awesome. So they're not the original speakers. I don't believe that would come with the amp. I could be mistaken. So if we're taking a look at the back panel here, we do say Fender Electric Instrument Co. Fullerton, California, made in USA. So again, that shows that it's pre-CBS. Standby and on switch, fuse, ground switch, accessory plug, and the power cable. And if we look, it has had a replacement 3-prong power cord on it. Not the best looking one in my opinion, but at least it's grounded for now. It looks like those are all Sovtek Russian power tubes, 5881s. And then in the preamp section, I believe that these are all, we got Tungsol, RCA, Fender, another RCA. So we've got a whole mismatch of preamp tubes there. Taking a look at the tube chart in here, back there in the top you can see that it's AB763 circuit, which is correct for these Twins, production number 6, and it is date stamped NL. As you can see down here on the lower panel, just like in the front of the amp, a lot of the Tolex is coming up, especially up here, so we'll probably glue that down too and clean this amp out. You can see we've got some leaves in there down the pretty dusty Reverb tank. Okay, so we're looking at the power transformer, and it is dated the 43rd week of 1964. And if we come over here, the choke is the 45th week of 1964. Sounds a little harder to see, but this transformer is dated the 38th week of 1964. So we've got the doghouse off, and we're taking a look at these filter capacitors. I know for sure that the two brown ones on the right are original. I've never seen the blue and silver ones in an amp from the factory, from a Fender amp before, but one of my buddies said that he has before, so those may very well be the original, all 5 original filter caps there. we're going to go ahead and do a recap on these filter caps. So while we have this doghouse open, I'm just going to measure the voltage on these caps. The amp is off and unplugged, but they will remain a voltage on them. So you always have to check that before you do any work on them. So that one has 9.6 volts, 9.6 volts. Alright, so we got the chassis flipped over and we're taking a look at the board here. As you can see, it does have quite a bit of modifications. If we take a closer look here on the first channel, the first few coupling caps have been replaced or removed altogether. We got a few orange drops in there. We have a few resistors and capacitors added in, little disc caps. Original electrolytics here. Got some more coupling caps that look original. All this is looking good. Here you can see that they removed one of these electrolytics, the 25 microfarads. And then this is where we get the problems. So this is where the tremolo circuit would be, and they have completely removed the entire thing. So this is going to be a lot more work than just getting rid of that master volume and reconnecting the tremolo circuit back up. We're going to have to completely rebuild the tremolo circuit from scratch here. You could see where they have the previous holes and the eyelets in the board here, and a whole mess of extra new components added on here. But as we move along, the coupling caps here are original. This little network of resistors here appears to be all original, and we do have a crack in the board, in the fiber board here. So I just want to document all this stuff before I start working on anything. All of these gray wires here have been added in by someone else, along with some of these red wires here. Funny thing, with all the mods that they have done, none of the electrolytics were replaced. This bias cap here is still original, which will need to be replaced. We'll remove this big old thing, whatever it's doing. And one thing that I wanted to point out was that someone took the time to add a grounded 3-prong cord on it. But if you look really closely here, they cut off the white wire, and they used the green and black as a regular hot and neutral. So if we look, those are connected to the AC plug, which then goes directly to the ground polarity switch, and they still have the death cap in there. So we'll remove that. We'll bypass the polarity switch, and it comes over here to the fuse and to the right to the power switch there. So this here, this pot here, is what's controlling the master volume, which would originally be the speed control for the tremolo. So just looking through this chassis now, and you can see some of these connections aren't the best. I'm having trouble focusing on here. There you go. So you could see right in there, doesn't look like there are resistors in there all the way. So we'll go through and we'll touch up everything. I did want to note that the power switch had already been changed. That's definitely not the original one. What it looked like, this one here, the standby, this one is the power. So that one's been changed. If you take a look at these electrolytics here, these are both 25 microfarads. They are definitely going to need to be replaced. They're bulging out the sides here, and they're just like that on the other side as well. So okay, so I'm just going to do a little bit of testing on this twin before we start modifying anything or doing any repairs on it. Right now I'm going through the vibrato channel, which is the only channel that will utilize the tremolo and the reverb on it. So the master volume actually doesn't do anything for this channel. So you can see here, So the reverb on it is working all good. Pot's a little scratchy. The amp is a little noisy, but all the controls on it work. Pot's pretty dirty. So everything on that channel is fine. If we're in the normal channel here, we're gonna have to redo the whole normal channel on this. Whenever they took out the tremolo on here, they redid the entire normal channel, did a bunch of weird mods to it, and this is the only channel that the master volume works for. And it's pretty noisy, so this is with the treble all the way up. If we turn all the controls, it's pretty noisy. And then one thing is this bright switch inside is not a bright switch anymore, but it makes a crazy noise whenever you flip it on. So we're gonna have to figure that out. I just wanted to do a demo, show how everything is before I started working on it.